Folks, I'm going to read a story from my recent novel, Giving Flowers to the Dark Web. And this is set in Melbourne. It's set in a restaurant, and the restaurant's called Dine Fine. It's about a fine chef, a leading chef, and his son, who's plotting. Monday night in Melbourne, in the restaurant precinct, and there is a clear hush. Outside Dine Fine, there are no hopeful patrons lining up, patiently waiting for a cancellation or table to emerge. Inside, there is no bustle of waiters or leadership sways from the concierge. As we travel towards the back of the room, the clutter is absent. The demands from the head chef is silent. The restaurant's closed for the night. In the corner of the kitchen, we discover the father Leon and the son Brett in considered conversation. It's their task how to use the fish they have acquired as a learning exercise, as next week Leon takes on the pufferfish, a potentially deadly fish for chefs and patrons. They approach the fish as if it's a real thing, establishing a few protocols as they proceed. 2 stainless steel containers have been purchased to isolate the healthy fish from the poisons, and they sit on the kitchen bench ready for business. It's simply a few deft strokes with the knife, Brett, Leon demonstrates. 3, here. Remove the glands and isolate. He discards the offal in the stainless container, being careful to replace the lid. That's it, mate. We've got this. All the while, Brett is inventing ways so that he can swap over the containers and expose his dad to the poison. Then he pauses. His dad, at the moment, is reasonably sober. This will not be the case next week. On game night, he is likely to arrive reasonably pissed, given the pressure. Not so sure you've got this, Dad, he reflects. Then Mr. A will insist on joining him in some Japanese whiskey before the meal. Enough, Brett thinks further. Allow him to make his own mistake. In Japan, fugu swim readily in fish tanks at restaurants. They look so innocuous, yet there is a series of strict processes in place to manage chefs who prepare the fish. This includes supervised training for 3 years in a well-resourced restaurant. Still, Leon is quite happy with his 2 practice runs and independent research. He meets Mr. A in his now bustling restaurant. The fish has arrived earlier and swims alone in the fish tank in the kitchen. Now, Leon, are you ready for our challenge? I am, sir. I recognise the risk and how to mitigate it, so I'm ready to serve you the very best fugu you've ever tasted. Excellent. You will join me in a fine whiskey before dinner, said Mr. A, pouring a generous serve of Suntory Japanese Hibiku Mount Fuji 21-year-old whiskey. Leon, always a fan of overindulging with fine spirits, whisked down the whiskey and slid his glass over for another dram. At the speed of being allocated a card and a blackjack table, he accepted his second double whack of whiskey. Downing this, Leon was emboldened. He bowed to his guests and made his way to the kitchen, followed by Brett. He had refused help from his assistant chefs, feeling that this was a personal challenge. He lined up the stainless steel containers, netted the fish from the tank, and killed it swiftly, using a specially prepared knife. It appeared to Brett that despite the heavy consumption of alcohol, his father was in control. That was until he arrived at the kidney. He already knew that the kidney required even more careful treatment if it were to be used in the dish. It characterised a number of items of offal that carried quite high levels of toxin. Leon removed the kidney and disposed of it with what Brett thought to be the wrong stainless steel container. It was sitting now proudly atop the parts of the fish regarded to be safe to eat. Part of him wanted to stop his father from continuing this deadly challenge, yet he thought of his family and how much an arsehole he was. He said nothing. And then, when his father finally put aside the healthy fish, Brett was surprised when he tasted the healthy fish, but, given its location in the container, also swallowed most of the kidney. Again, Brett almost stopped him, but instead, on behalf of his family and selfishly, he commenced looking for symptoms of his demise. The symptoms started to appear. His father was struggling to breathe, vomiting between laboured breaths. He collapsed on the kitchen mat, looking at Brett with intensity but unable to talk. Mr. Ray sat quietly, continuing to enjoy the sharp, rich taste of the whiskey. How the Japanese were able to mimic the Scotch style, and some would say improve on it, was amazing. His thoughts cut across several challenges, and he had created in Japan. Generally, the chefs rose to the occasion and cooked an exceptional poison-free dish. He did, however, remember one occasion where, sitting just a wall apart, he could hear a chef choking to death. Another where an enthusiastic diner sampled the fish before he got to it, also choking to death in front of him. Mr. A enjoyed the risk. It provided a sharper, more even potent rush than his business deals. Today that rush was ever present as he started to learn of the impacts of toxicity in the nearby kitchen. He thought to join his colleagues in the kitchen, but decided to enjoy the tragedy from afar. Leon's breathing became more difficult, and now he lay still on the mat. Brett had already called emergency and was in conversation with them as they dispatched an ambulance. He stayed in the background of the kitchen. What had been a bold plan had worked. He walked through the main room, noticing Mr. A was still present and had poured a hefty glass of whiskey. "Will you join me for a drink for your father?" Mr. A smiled to himself and as he observed the paramedics rush through the restaurant. Arrogant chefs, he thought. Oh well, no fugu tonight. It was only a matter of 5 minutes before the paramedics were on the scene, and whilst they attempted to revive, asphyxiation had occurred. "No," declared Mr. A. "Let me know if I owe you anything. A tragic result. It is I that owe you, Brett, commiserations for your loss."